Hello everyone and welcome to today's lesson of the Butterfly Princess Academy, where curiosity takes flight and wisdom wears wings. Welcome to the November lesson of the Butterfly Princess Travel Lounge. This is where I take students on a virtual tour of a country of my choosing. For this month, the month of November, we're taking a virtual tour of the country of England. Today's lecture at the Academy is entitled The Timeless Charm of England, so here goes. Nestled in the heart of the British Isles, England is a country that effectively weaves together the threads of ancient history, vibrant culture and breathtaking landscapes. From the rolling green hills of countryside to the bustling streets of its cosmopolitan cities, England offers a tapestry of experiences that can captivate both residents and visitors alike. Its identity is shaped by centuries of innovation, conquest and creativity, making it a land where tradition and modernity coexist in harmony. A landscape of contrast. England's geography is diverse as its heritage. To the north, the rugged peaks of the Lake District, immortalised by poets like William Wordsworth and Beatrix Potter, rise dramatically against the sky, their slopes carpeted with heather and dotted with serene glacial lakes. Further south, the Cotswolds unfold in a patchwork of golden stone villages, meadows and winding lanes, embodying the quintessential English countryside. Along the coastline, the white chalk cliffs of Dover stand as sentinels over the English Channel, while Cornwall's wild windswept beaches attract surfers and artists seeking inspiration from the untamed Atlantic. In contrast, cities like London and Manchester pulse with energy. The Thames River flows past iconic landmarks. The Tower of London, a fortress steeped in medieval history. The Gothic splendour of the Houses of Parliament. The modern glass shard of the Shard, symbolising England's forward-looking spirit. Even urban spaces, however, are softened by green oases like Hyde Park or the Royal Botanic Gardens at Kew, where nature and urban life intertwine. A journey through time. England's history is etched into its very soil. Ancient sites like Stonehenge, a mysterious metallic stone circle, whisper tales of prehistoric rituals. Roman ruins in Bath and York reveal the legacy of empire builders who left behind aqueducts, baths and roads. The Middle Ages comes alive in castles such as Warwick and Windsor, where stone walls echo with stories of knights and royalty. The Tudor era, marked by the reigns of Henry VIII and Elizabeth I, left an indelible mark on England's identity. Grand estates like Hampton Court Palace and the Globe Theatre, home to Shakespeare's plays, reflect the Renaissance flowering of art and drama. Meanwhile, the Industrial Revolution transformed the North into a powerhouse of innovation, with Manchester's cotton mills and Liverpool's docks symbolising an era of global trade and innovation, cultural riches and creative legacy. England's cultural collaborations are unpropelled. Its literal hanging boasts giants like Chaucer, Jane Austen, and the Bronte sisters, while modern writers like J.K. Rowling continue to enrich global audiences. Theatres in London's West End and Stratford-upon-Avon's Shakespeare's birthplace keep the dramatic arts alive, blending classic and contemporary works. Music, too, is woven into England's soul, from the folk traditions of Cornwall to the Beatles' revolutionary pop in Liverpool. The country has shaped global music trends. London's museums, such as the British Museum and the Tate Modern, house treasures spanning centuries, continents, and epochs, reflecting England's role as a constitution of world heritage. Modern England tradition meets innovation. Today, England is a dramatic blend of old and new. Historically, universities like Oxford and Cambridge remain at the forefront of research, while cities like Manchester and Bristol buzz with tech setups, startups, and creative industries. The multicultural fabric of modern England, celebrated in its cuisine, festivals, and communities, with neighbourhoods like London's Brick Lane offering a taste of global flavours. Yet timeless traditions endure. Afternoon tea, village cricket matches, and the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace remain cherished rituals. Even in the 21st century, the echoes of church bells, the aroma of fish and chips, and the sight of red postbox anchor the nation to its roots. The enduring allure of England. England is a country where every cobblestone, meadow, and skyscraper tells a story. It is a place where history is not confined to textbooks, but lives in castles, cathedrals, and even pubs that have stood for centuries. Its landscape inspires poets, its cities ignite dramas, and its people, with their wit, resilience, and warmth, embody a spirit that has weathered storms and celebrated triumphs. To explore England is to walk through time, to savour creativity, and to discover a nation that proudly bridges its storied past with an ever-evolving future. History. So, England's history is a rich and intricate mosaic spanning millennia of conquest, intervention, rebellion, and reinvention. From ancient tribes to a global empire, the story of this small but influential nation has shaped not only its own identity, but also the course of world history. To explore England's past is to uncover the roots of modern democracy, literature, industry, and culture, a saga of resilience, ambition, and transformation. Ancient beginnings, prehistory to Roman rule. England's earliest chapters are written in stone. Prehistoric settlers drew by fertile land and temperate climates left behind enigmatic monuments like Stonehenge in 3000 BCE, a testament to their astronomical and enduring prowess. Celtic tribes later dominated the landscape, forging a patchwork of kingdoms united by language, art, and spiritual practices tied to nature. In 43 CE, the Roman Empire invaded Britain, establishing Britannia as a northern frontier. Roman rule brought roads, aqueducts, and cities. The Roman name for London was Londinium, and they also had Roman names for cities like London and York. Hadrian's Wall, built in in 122 CE marked the empire's northern limit, symbolising both military might and cultural exchange. However, by 410 CE, Rome's retreat left a power vacuum, paving the way for waves of Anglo-Saxon settlers from Germany and Scandinavia. Anglo-Saxon England, kingdoms, faith and Viking raids. The Anglo-Saxons carved England into rival kingdoms, Wessex, Mercia and Northumbria, each vying for dominance. Christianity, reintroduced by missionaries like St. Augustine in 597 CE, transformed society, blending pagan traditions with Masonic scholarship. The Venerable Bede, an 8th century monk, chronicled this era, while the epic poem Beowulf echoed Germanic heroism. Viking invasions from the 8th century onward shattered this fragile unity. The Danes seized vast territories known as the Gainlaw until Alfred the Great of Wessex, who reigned between 871 and 899, railed resistance. His successors unified England under one crown, but Viking rule returned briefly until Canute the Great, 1016 to 1035, whose North Sea Empire linked England to Scandinavia. Norman conquest and medieval transformation. The year 1066 marked a turning point. William the Conqueror's victory at Hastings ended Anglo-Saxon rule and imposed Norman feudalism. The Domesday Book of 1086, a Masonic survey of land and wealth, underscored centralised control. Norman castles like the Tower of London symbolised dominance, while Gothic cathedrals such as Canterbury Cathedral, Durham Cathedral reached skyward in Rome. Medieval England saw the rise of Parliament under Henry III, 1216 to 1272, and the signing of the Magna Carta of 1215. A cornerstone of constitutional law that curbed royal power. The Hundred Years' War that ran between 1337 and 1453 against France birthed legends like Henry V and Joan of Arc, while the Black Death between 1348 and 1350 decimated populations, reshaping labour and social structures. Tudors and Stuart, Reformation, Renaissance and Revolution. The Tudor dynasty that lasted between 1485 to 1603 ushered in England's golden age. Henry VIII's break with Rome in 1534 created the Church of England, enshrining faith and politics. Elizabeth I's reign, 1558 to 1603, saw rival naval triumph over Spain, colonial ventures, and a cultural renaissance illuminated by Shakespeare's plays. The Stuart era, 1603 to 1714, brought turmoil. Religious strife and absolute ambition sparked the English Civil War, 1642 to 1651, culminating in Charles I's execution and Oliver Cromwell's republication Commonwealth. The Glorious Revolution of 1688 restored monarchy under William III, but enshrined parliamentary sovereignty in the Bill of Rights in 1689. Empire and industry, global power and social change. The 18th and 19th centuries marked England's ascent as a global empire. Victory in the 7 Years' War between 1758 between 1756 and 1763 secured colonial dominance, while the Industrial Revolution, born in England's mills and mines, transformed economies and steam and societies. Inventions like the steam engine and railways revolutionised transport, but urbanisation and child labour sparked social unrest. Victorian Britain, 1837 to 1901, embodied contradictions. Imperial grandeur under Victoria contrasted with poverty and reform movements. Writers like Dickens exposed social ills, while Darwin's theories challenged old centuries. By 1900, Britain ruled a quarter of the world's landmass, yet its imperial dominance would soon face existential threats. Modern era, war, welfare and identity. The 20th century tested England's resilience. 2 world wars drained resources and lives, yet the British spirit of World War II between 1939 to 1945 became emblematic of national resolve. Post-war Britain saw the rise of the welfare state, decolonisation and cultural shifts. From the Beatles' global influence to multiculturalism fueled by Commonwealth immigration. The late 20th century brought reforms and debates over European integration. Today, England grapples with its legacy. Brexit, that was when Britain voted to leave the European Union in the year of 2016, and they finally left the European Union in 2020, reshaped its relationship with Europe, while debates over monarchy identity and inequality reflect a nation still defining its place in a changing world. Echoes of the past in the present. England's history is not a relic but a living force. Its ancient stones, medieval charters, and industrial cities remind us that the past is prolonged. From Magna Carta to modern democracy, from Shakespeare to streaming platforms, England's story is one of adaptation and enduring influence. To study its history is to understand how a small island forged a global legacy, one that continues to evolve, challenge and inspire. England, a land of contrast and enduring charm, is an nation where ancient traditions coexist with cutting-edge modernity. From its storied past to its vibrant present, England's identity is shaped by a wealth of fascinating facts, geographical, historical, cultural and quirky, that reveal its unique character. So, geography. Though small in size, 50,346 square miles, England's geography is astonishingly diverse. The country is bordered by Scotland to the north, Wales to the west, and the Irish Sea and the Celtic Sea to the northwest and southwest. Respectively, its eastern coastline meets the North Sea, while the English Channel separates it from mainland Europe, but just 21 miles at the narrow point, the Strait of Dover. The Lake District, a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Cumbria, boasts England's highest peak, Scafell Pike, 3,209 feet, and its deepest lake, Westwater, 258 feet. In contrast, the Fens of East Anglia are amongst the flattest landscapes in the UK, much of which lies below sea level, reclaimed by centuries of drainage. The River Thames, England's longest river, flows 215 miles from the Cotswolds through London to the North Sea, where the Jurassic coast in Dorset and Devon reveals 185 million years of Earth's history in its cliffs. England's history is etched into its landmarks. Stonehenge, constructed around 3000 BCE, remains one of the world's most mysterious prehistoric monuments. The Romans, who ruled from 43 to 410 CE, left behind Hadrian's Wall and cities like baths, where gigantic springs still feed the ancient Roman baths. Right. The Industrial Revolution between the 18th and 19th centuries began in England, fueled by inventions like the steam engine and spinning jenny. Manchester's cotton mills and Birmingham's factories turned the nation into the workshop of the world. Today, remnants of this era, such as the Iron Bridge Gorge and the world's first iron bridge, stands as UNESCO heritage sites. England's cultural contribution are legendary. It is the birthplace of William Shakespeare, Jane Austen, Charles Dickens, and J.K. Rowling, whose works have shaped global literature. The Globe Theatre in London and the Bronte Parsonage in Haworth are pilgrimage sites for literal enthusiasts. Musically, England's influence spans genres. The Beatles revolutionised pop in the 1960s, while bands like the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, and the Smiths defined rock. London's West End rivals Broadway, staging classics like The Phantom of the Opera and modern hits like Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. England's charm. Every year, the Coppers Hill cheese rolling in Gloucestershire sees competitors chasing a wheel of cheese down a steep hill. The ancient ceremony of swan upping on the Thames counts and marks the Queen swans, now the Kings, a practice dating to the 12th century. Meanwhile, pubs with names like the Bucket of Blood or the Drunken dot the countryside, each with tales of ghosts or medieval intrigue. Today, England is a hub of innovation. The University of Oxford and the University of Cambridge, founded in the 12th and 13th centuries, remain global leaders in research. London, a financial and tech powerhouse, hosts Silicon Roundabout, Europe's answer to Silicon Valley, while Manchester's Media City UK drives advancements in digital media. England's population of 56 million is remarkably multicultural. Over 300 languages are spoken in London alone, and neighbourhoods like Brick Lane and Brixton celebrate the cuisine, culture, and festivals of immigrant communities. The Notting Hill Carnival, Europe's largest street festival, transforms West London into a vibrant celebration of Caribbean culture every August. Quirky facts. So the oldest existing parliament, the English Parliament, established in 1215, is one of the world's oldest continuous growing bodies. A kingdom of castles, England has over 4,000 castles, from Windsor Castle, the world's oldest inhabited royal residence, to ruined fortresses like Lincoln's King Arthur. The Ravens of the Tower legend says, if the 6 ravens at the Tower of London ever leave the kingdom will fall. Their wings are clipped to ensure they stay. Innovation. Central England gave the world the steam engines, James Watt, the World Wide Web, Tim Berners-Lee, and the vacuum cleaner Herbert Cecil Booth. England is home to native species like red squirrels, puffins, and the elusive European hedgehog, celebrating annually on Hedgehog Day on the 2nd of February. England's architectural marvels span eras. Durham Cathedral, a masterpiece of Norman architecture, dominates its medieval city, while St Paul's Cathedral, designed by Christopher Wren, rose from the ashes of the Great Fire of London of 1666. Modern landmarks like the Gherkin and the Shard redefine London's skyline. The countryside is equally awe-inspiring. The White Cliff of Dover, composed of chalk and flint, glow under the sun, and the Yorkshire Dales limestone valleys and waterfalls attract hikers worldwide. The Eden Project in Cornwall, a series of bomas housing global plant species, symbolises England's commitment to sustainability. England's cuisine reflects its history and global connections. Classic dishes like roast beef with Yorkshire pudding, Cornish pasties, and afternoon tea, complete with scones and clotted cream, remain staples for full English breakfast consisting of egg, bacon, sausages, beans, and black pudding. Is a hearty tradition. In recent decades, England has embraced global flavours. Chicken tikka masala, invented in Britain, is often called the nation's national dish, while street food markets like London's Borough Market showcase artist grilled cheese, fresh oysters, and vegan interventions. England is a land where every fact tells a story. Its rolling hills hide no tell its secrets. Its cities pulse with multicultural energy in its traditions, both solemn and whimsical, bind past and present. To explore England is to encounter an ancient that has shaped global history, culture, and intervention, yet remains rooted to its landscapes and legends. Whether through the misty moors of Dartmoor, the hollowed halls of Oxford, or the bustling markets of Manchester, England invites the world to discover its endless layers of wonder. So we're now going to talk about the currency. The currency of England, the British pound sterling, is more than a medium of exchange. It is a symbol of economic resilience, historical legacy, and cultural identity. Known colloquially as the pound, it is one of the world's oldest currencies still in use, with a lineage stretching back over 1,200 years, from its origins in Anglo-Saxon trade to its modern incarceration as a stable global currency. The pound's story intertwines with England's evolution as a nation. The pound's origins lie in the early medieval period. In the 8th century, Anglo-Saxon kingdoms minted silver pennies known as sterlings, which became widely trusted for their consistent weight and purity. The term pound derives from the Latin libra poundo, a pound by weight, referring to a unit of silver equivalent to 240 pennies. By the region of Offa of Mercia, 757 to 796 CE, these coins bore intricate designs including the king's portrait and religious symbols, establishing a tradition of currencies, both art and authority. The Norman conquest of 1066 centralised coinage under royal control. The Tower of London's mint became the heart of production, and coins like the gold noble, introduced in 1344, reflected England's growing wealth from wool exports. However, it was the establishment of the Bank of England in 1694 that revolutionised the currency. The bank issued handwritten notes as promiscuous IOUs, marking the transition from precious metal coins to paper money. Early banknotes bore elaborate engravings to deter forgery, a practice that continues today. Modern British currency is a fusion of tradition and innovation. Banknotes and coins feature portraits of the monarch, a tradition dating back to Henry VII, symbolising the crown's grandeur of value, guarantee of value. Since 1960, Queen Elizabeth II graced all currency, but following her death in 2022, new coins and notes feature King Charles I began phased circulation. Banknotes, England's polymer notes introduced in 2016 are durable and secure. Each denomination celebrates a historical figure and their contribution. Facts over £5 notes. Sir Winston Churchill, the wartime Prime Minister, with imagery of Parliament's clock tower, Big Ben. £10 notes. Jane Eyre, the literary icon, accompanied by a quote from Pride and Prejudice and a depiction of her writing guest. £20 notes. J.W. Turner, the romantic painter, with his masterpiece sufficing, and the quote, light is there for colour. And £50 notes. Alan Turing, the mathematician and codebreaker, honoured for his role in World War II and early computing. These notes also incorporate national symbols: the rose, England; thistle, Scotland; daffodil, Wales; and the shamrock, Northern Ireland, reflecting the United Kingdom's union. Coins. The Royal Mint coins are equally symbolic. The 12-sided £1 coin, introduced in 2017, features the English rose, leek, thistle and shamrock. The £2 note often commemorates events such as the 400th anniversary of Shakespeare's death or the London 2012 Olympic. Smaller denominations, 1p to 50p coins, depict the royal arms, Britannia and shields representing the UK's nations. The pound's history is also a battle confused. Early coins were clipped and debased, prompting Isaac Newton as Warden of the Mint in 1696 to overhaul production and prosecute forgeries. Today, the Bank of England employs cutting-edge technology. Holograms. The £20 and £50 notes include holographic windows that change colour and display intricate patterns. Raised prints. Tactile elements aid the visually impaired. Polymorphic. Transparent windows and complex layers make modern notes harder to replicate. Microletting and UV features, tiny text and fluorescent ink glow under ultraviolet light. The Royal Mint has also explored digital security, embedding QR codes in coins and experimenting with blockchain technology. The pound sterling is the world's fourth most traded currency after the US dollar, euro and yen, and retains its status as a global reserve currency. Its nickname cable originates from the 19th century transatlantic telegraph cables that transmitted exchange rates between London and New York. Despite the rise of the euro, England retained the note, a decision reinforced by Brexit in 2020. The currency's values fluctuate with political and economic tides, from the decimation of 1971 to Black Wednesday of 1992, where the UK withdrew from the European exchange rate mechanism. Yet its resilience endures underpinned by by England's monetary politics and London's role as a financial hub. The pound is deeply woven into England's cultural fabrics. like spending a penny refers pay toilets or penny dreadful cheap Victorian novels reveals its linguistic imprint. Pub signs, market stalls, and charity collection boxes all rely on the clink of coins and rustles of notes. Economically, the pound impacts everyday life. Inflation rates, interest decisions by the Bank of England, and exchange rates influences wages, savings, and the cost of imports. The currency's strength also affects tourism. A weaker pound affects overseas visitors to England's historic sites and shops. As cash usage declines, England faces a monetary crossroads. Contactless payments now account for over 60% of UK transactions, and the Bank of England is exploring a central bank digital currency dubbed Bitcoin. Yet physical currency remains vital for rural communities, older generations, and as a cultural touchstone. Commemorative issues like the 2023 coronation coins for Charles III ensure the pound's legacy evolves while honouring tradition. Meanwhile, debates over cashless society and cryptocurrency regulations highlight the currency's adaptive spirit. The British pound is a living archive of England's history, value, and integrity. Each note and coin carries the weight of centuries, from Saxon mints to AI-driven fraud prevention. It is a testament to a nation that has navigated conquest, industrialisation, and globalisation while preserving its identity. As England strides into an uncertain future, the pound remains both an anchor to the past and a beacon of intervention, embodying the enduring spirit of a nation whose currency is quite literally its pride. Geography now. England's geography is a masterclass in contrast, a compact nation where rugged moorlands meet bustling cities, ancient forests border golden beaches, and rolling hills cascade into dramatic coastal cliffs. Covering just over 50,000 square miles, England's landscape is a living tapestry woven by geological forces, human integrity, and ceaseless rhythms of the sea, from the misty peaks of the Lake District to the marshy fens of East Anglia. England's geology tells a story spanning hundreds of millions of years. The country sits atop a mosaic of rock formations, from the ancient granite of Dartmoor, formed 300 million years ago, to the soft limestone of the Yorkshire Dales. These foundations shape its topography, divided broadly into three regions. The north, dominated by the Pennines, a rugged mountain range often called the backbone of England. This region includes the Lake District, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Here, glacial valleys cradle serene lakes like Windermere and Ulsterwater, while Scafell Pike stands as England's highest peak. To the east, the North York Moors stretch in a heather-clad expanse etched with deep dales and Bronze Age stone circles. The Midlands, transitioning from uplands to lowlands. The Midlands feature the rolling hills of the Peak District and the fertile plains of the Trent Valley. The River Trent, England's third longest meadows, fork through this agricultural heartland, which gave rise to industrial cities like Birmingham during the 18th century industrial revolution. The south of the Thames Basin lie the chalk downs of Salisbury Plain, home to Stonehenge and the Jurassic Coast, a 95-mile stretch of cliffs revealing 185 million years of Earth's history. The South Downs and the Cheltenham Hills frame London's outskirts, while Cornwall's cliffs and sandy coves face the Atlantic's restless waves. England's rivers have shaped both its ecology and economy. The River Thames, the longest in England of 215 miles, flows from the Cotswolds through London, serving as a historic trade route and a modern cultural icon. The Severn, England's longest river overall, 220 miles, carves through the Midlands before emptying into the Bristol Channel, its tidal bore attracting surfacers and scientists alike. England's coastline spans 1,800 miles, offering staggering diversity. The White Cliffs of Dover, composed of chalk, symbolises national identity. The guard of the Strait of Dover, the narrowest point between England and France, 21 miles. To the southeast, southwest, Cornwall's Lizard Peninsula boasts turquoise waters and serpentine rock formations, while the Durham Heritage Coast features fossil-rich cliffs and secluded beaches. Human activity has left its mark. Fishing villages like cling to sheep slopes, Victorian piers juts into the sea at Brighton, and ports like Liverpool, a UNESCO maritime city, recall England's seafaring past. Coastal erosion, however, remains a pressing challenge, with cliffs retreating by up to 12 inches, 30 centimetres annually in vulnerable areas. England's temperate maritime climate is shaped by the Gulf Stream, which brings mild winters and cool summers. Regional variations abroad. The northwest receives heavy rainfall, 55 inches annually, nurturing the Lake District's lush valleys. The southeast is drier and sunnier, with London averaging 23 degrees, 73 Fahrenheit in summer. East Anglia, one of the driest regions, relies on irrigation for its vast wheat and barley fields. This climate supports diverse habitats, from the ancient oak woodlands of the New Forest to the peat bogs of the Pennines, which store carbon and preserve archaeological treasures like preserved bog bodies. England's population of 56 million is unevenly distributed, with 83% living in urban areas. Key regions include Greater London, a global metropolis of 9 million, built around the Thames curves. Its skylines blends historic landmarks, St Paul Cathedral, and modern marvels, the Shard. The northern powerhouse cities like Manchester, Leeds, and Liverpool drive innovation in tech and culture, revitalising post-industrial landscape. The Midlands engineer Birmingham is the nation's crossroads, thrives as a multi-factoring and transport hub, while Coventry's medieval spires contrast with automotive factories. Rural areas that are less populated are less vital. The patchwork fields of Devon and Somerset produce cream cheese and cheddar cheese, while the Yorkshire Dales sustain sheep farming and dry stone walling traditions. England's 10 national parks, covering 10% of its land, protect these landscapes while welcoming millions of hikers, cyclists, and nature enthusiasts yearly. So I've remembered that. England's changeable climate has seeped into its cultural side. The unpredictability of rain 4 seasons in one day fosters a national obsession with weather talk, a social lubricant and literal moffat from Shakespeare's Tempest to the Bronx's windswept moors, weather mirrors emotional landscapes. Uh, right. Bonfire night, 5th of November, clear cold nights ideal for fireworks, cricket season, summer matches halted by rainy days, Chelsea Flower Show, a May celebration of gardens thriving in temperate conditions. Even cuisine is climate shaped. Hearty shows for winter cream teas enjoyed in summer gardens and a thriving pub culture offering shelter from the rain. England's climate is shifting. Since 1900, average temperatures have risen by 1 degree, with the 2010s the warmest decade on record. Impacts include, so I won't go into that. England, the largest and most populous country within the UK, is a nation defined as much by its borders as by its history. Unlike many sovereign states, England does not share a land border with any independent country. Instead, its borders are entwined with those of its neighbours within the UK and shaped by maritime connections to Europe and beyond. As part of the UK, a sovereign state comprising of 4 constitutional countries, England is bordered by 2 of these nations, Scotland to the north and Wales to the west. These internal borders, though administrative, reflect centuries of cultural and political evolution. The 96-mile border between England and Scotland stretches from the Solway Firth in the west to the North Sea in the east. This boundary, formalised by the 1237 Treaty of York, has been a site of conflict and the rugged Shetland Hills and historic landmarks like Hadrian's Wall underscores its strategic importance. Today, the border is seamless with no physical checkpoints, though Scotland's devolved government in Edinburgh maintains distinct legal and educational systems. Wales. England's 160-mile border with Wales follows natural features such as the River Dee and the Wye Valley, punctuated by the man-made Offa's-Dale, an 8th century earthwork built by King Offa of Mercia. Wales, annexed by England in the 16th century, but now a devolved nation with its own parliament, the Senedd, shares a deep cultural ties with England. The border region includes cities like Chester and Hereford, blends Welsh and English heritage in architectural language and traditions. England's island geography means it shares no land border with sovereign states. However, its coastline faces several nations across surrounding seas. France, the south. The English Channel, spanning just 21 miles at the Strait of Dover, separates England from France. The Channel Tunnel, opened in 1994, physically links the two nations by rail, symbolising their intertwined histories of rivalry and alliance. Maritime boundaries here are governed by international law, with fishing rights and territorial occasionally sparking disputes. Ireland west. Across the Irish Sea, England faces the Republic of Ireland, an independent nation in Northern Ireland, part of the UK. The 1921 partition of Ireland created a complex political landscape, but the common travel area ensures free movement between the UK and Ireland. England ports like Liverpool and Holyhead have have historically facilitated trade and migration across this maritime border. Belgium, the Netherlands and beyond, East North Sea. England's eastern coast faces the North Sea, bringing it into proximity with nations like Belgium, the Netherlands, Denmark and Norway. These waters are vital for trade, energy via offshore wind farms and oil rigs and environment cooperation. The UK's departure from the European Union in 2020 reshapes England's relationship with its neighbours. While internal UK borders remain unchanged, new custom checks were introduced between Great Britain, England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland under the Northern Ireland Protocol. Meanwhile, fractionless travel with EU nations ended. The France-England border remains one of the busiest transitional crossings in England. Right, so I've read that. England's landscape, ancient forests, misty moors and crumbling castles are steeped in stories that blur the line between history and imagination. From the windswept tales of Celtic druids to the moral fables of Middle-Age English folklore is a vibrant tapestry of heroes, monsters and magical beings. These myths, passed down through generations, reveal the fears, hopes and values of a people deeply connected to their land. Long before Christianity or Roman conquest, England's early inhabitants wove myths to explain the mysteries of nature. The Celts who inhabited the British Isles from around 500 BCE revered spirits tied to rivers, trees and stones. The Green Man, a pagan symbol of rebirth, his face carved into church gargoyles and pub signs, represents the enduring bond between humanity and nature. His leafy visage, often hidden in medieval cathedral, hints at the survival of pre-Christian belief. Ham the Hunter, a ghostly figure said to haunt Windsor Forest. Ham wears antlers and rattles chains, foretelling doom. Some link him to the Celtic god lord of animals and the underworld. Pixies and knockers. In Cornwall, mischievous pixies danced in moonlight circles, while mine-dwelling knockers guided tin miners to or led them astray if disrespected. Athenian legend. No English mythos looms larger than the tales of King Arthur and his knights of the Round Table, blending history, possibly inspired by a 5th century warlord, with medieval romance. These stories categorise England's ideas of bravery and justice. Avalon and Excalibur. Glastonbury rising from the Somerset levels is said to be the island of Avalon, where Arthur's sword Excalibur was forged, and where he rests awaiting England's hour of need. Merlin the Enchanter. The wizard Merlin, trapped in a tree by his lover name, embodies the tension between wisdom and human future. His prophecies recorded in Geoffrey of Monmouth's history regained the Britannia fueled nationalist pride. The Holy Grail, Arthur's quest for the Grail symbolises spiritual purity, reflects the medieval church influence, yet its roots may lie in Celtic cauldrons of plenty. England's language is a living mosaic, its words and rhythms shaped by waves of intervention, trade and cultural exchange. From the murmurs of ancient Celtic tribes to the global renaissance of modern English, the story of the nation's language is one of adaptation, resilience and creativity. Long before Latin or Germanic tones reached Britain, the island echoed with Celtic language, part of a vast Indo-European family. The Britannic languages, ancestors of modern Welsh, Cornish and Breton, were spoken by tribes like Brigates and Icenian. Their legacy and lineage in place names like Avon, Penhill and London itself rooted in Celtic. Though Roman conquest introduced Latin, it was the language of soldiers and administrators, not the rural majority. Celtic subtle influence survived in folklore and landscape, a ghostly undercurrent beneath later linguistic waves. The collapse of Roman rule left a vacuum filled by Anglo-Saxon settlers, 5th to the 7th centuries. Their Germanic dialects, collectively called English, formed the background of Old English, part of the West Germanic branch, alongside Old Finnish and Old Saxon. It was a highly inflected language with complex grammar and a robust vocabulary. Regional dialects splintered into 4 main dialects: Northumbrian, Mercian, Kentish and West Saxon. The lesser used in King Arthur's court and literary works like Beowulf became a literal standard. Everyday poetry compared words like Latin, reintroduced by Christian missionaries like Augustine in 597 CE, enriched Old English with terms old school and scholarly concepts, yet the language remained distinctly Germanic, its core vocabulary house bred earth, rooted in daily life. The British Empire, 8th to the 20th centuries, turned English into a global lineal function. Today it belongs to the West Germanic branch of the Indo-European family, its closest relatives being Finnish, Dutch and German, yet its vocabulary, 60% Latin, 26% 60% Latin and French and 26% Germanic, reflects a uniquely cosmopolitan heritage. English is more than a song, it's a living archive of England's history, each lowered form, Celtrime. The people of England are a captivating blend of historical legacy and modern dimensions, their identity woven from centuries of conquest, creativity and cultural exchange. From the misty highlands of the Lake District to the bustling streets of London, the English embody a spirit shaped by resilience, intervention and unyielding connection to their land. England's people are the product of millennia of migration and mingling. Ancient Celtic tribes whose whispers linger in place names like Avon and Kent were followed by Roman settlers, Viking raiders and Norman conquerors. Each wave left indelible marks, genetic lineage, linguistic and cultural. The Anglo-Saxons forged the early English identity, their Germanic roots evident in the bedrock of the language, house-bred earth and the enduring mythos of heroes like Beowulf and the Norman conquest. Drape this foundation with French elegance, enriching with terms like justice and art, while the Reformation, Enlightenment, seeded ideals of debate and epinism. Often criticized reserved tea drinkers with apartment for queuing. The English are better understood through their nosy traditions and connections. Politeness is a social cornerstone, a shield of praise and sorry that makes dry amidst dry wit and irony, as seen in the works of Jane Austen and the banter of a London pub. The stiff upper lip, a relic of Victorian socialism, coexists with a thriving contemporary art scene that birthed icons like the Beatles, Adele and Banksy. Regional diversity further enriches this portrait. In the industrial north, communities in Manchester and Newcastle wear their resilience with pride, their dialects permeate with warmth and wit. The south, with its rolling countryside and affluent home counties, leans into pastoral nostalgia, while Cornwall's Celtic soul thrives in folk music and legends of King Arthur. London, a microcosm of the world, pulses with over 300 languages, where Hill markets in Whitechapel sit beside tech startups in Shoreditch. England's class system, once rigidly steadfast, now simmers beneath the surface. Visceral in accents, the clipped tones have received punctuation versus the modical lit of Scouse or Geordie, and in debates over access to education and healthcare. Yet modernity has blurred these lines. Working class roots are celebrated in films like Billy Elliot, while universities like Oxford and Cambridge strive to determine an opportunity. Community spirit thrives in local rituals, village cricket matches, bonfire nights ablaze with Guy Fawkes effigies, and neighbours gathering at pubs that serve the social hubs. These spaces, from cosy rural inns to gritty urban taverns, stages where bankers and builders debate football over pints of ale. Post-war immigration transformed England into a multicultural tapestry. The Windrush generation from the Caribbean, South Asian immigrants and Eastern European workers have reshaped cities like Birmingham and Leicester, where Diwali lights rival Christmas markets. The fusion flavours daily life, curries a national dish, and Notting Hill carnivals, Caribbean beach draw millions. Yet England's traditions and festivals are a vibrant mosaics of history, community and seasonal rhythms, where ancient roots dance alongside modern rivalry for the cracking bonfires, Guy Fawkes nights, to the kaleidoscope world of the Notting Hill Carnival. These celebrations stitch together past and present, offering a window into the nation's soul. Spring's awakening. As winter retreats, England bursts into life with May Day, a pagan-rooted jubilee. Villages like Hastings and Oxfordshire revive medieval customs. Morris dancers, clad in bells and ribbons, leap to accordion tunes, while children twirl maypoles, weaving vibrant patterns with silk strands. In Cornwall, the Patstow Abeos festival sees custom courses parading through streets, their followers singing age-old ballads to welcome fertility. Easter brings egg-rolling contests on grassy hills, notably at Preston's Avenue Park, where children trace chocolate treasures. Summers flourish, summer can unite urban energy. The Notting Hill Carnival, celebrating in August, transforms London into a Caribbean dreamscape. Steel drums pulse, feathered dancers shimmer, and the aroma of jerk chicken mingles with laughter, a testament to multicultural harmony. Meanwhile, the Thames glistened during Swan Up in July, a quirky ceremony where royal swan markers in scarlet uniform senses for Queen Swans, blending pageantry with conservation. Autumn's harvest. As leaves glide, villages host harvest festivals, churches brim with apples and with corn shelves and loaves, hymns echoing gratitude. blazes with winter's warmth. Christmas envelops England in fairy lights and carols. Many traditions trace to pagan or medieval roots. Morris dancing with handkerchiefs and sticks likely evoked fertility gods in Somerset's orchards, involves singing to apple trees, sipping mulled cider, a plea for bounty, yet those customs evolved. Durham Miners' Gala July, once a sombre tribute to coal communities, now presides brass bands and banners celebrating resilience post-industrial decline. England's cuisine is shaped by England's temperate climate, geography and history, including interactions with other European countries and the import of ingredients and ideas from North America, China and India during the British Empire and post-war immigration. Since the early modern period, English food has been characterised by its simplicity and resilience on high-quality natural produce. Traditional meals have ancient origins such as bread and cheese, roasted and stewed meats and game pies, boiled vegetables, broths and freshwater and saltwater fish. The forms of curry, a 14th century English cookbook, contains recipes for these dishes, dating back to the royal court of Richard II. Sunday roast. The Sunday roast typically includes roast potatoes or boiled or mashed potatoes, accompanying a roasted joint of meat such as roast beef, lamb, pork, or roast chicken, and associated vegetables, generally boiled and served with gravy. Sauces are chosen depending on the meat: horseradish for beef, mint sauce for lamb, or applesauce for pork. Yorkshire puddings normally accompanies beef, sage and onion stuffing pork, and parsley stuffing chicken. Fish and chips was once urban street food eaten from newspaper with salt and malt vinegar. The dish is made with white fish such as cod or haddock, coated in a light and crispy batter. Thick cut chips or French fries are served on the side alongside mushy peas or a starter sauce. The first recorded fish and chips shop opened in London in 1860, quickly becoming a staple for the British working class. Bangers and Mash is a British classic featuring sausages served with mashed potatoes, originally in gravy and sometimes vegetables on the side. The term bangers originated in World War One when meat sausages led to sausages being made with a higher water content, causing them to sometimes explode or bang when cooked. Shepherd's pie is a traditional casserole typically made with a minced lamb filling cut with onions, carrots and peas and seasoned with herbs like thyme and rosemary. It is topped with a generous layer of creamy mashed potatoes and baked until the top is golden brown and crispy. Originating in the 18th century as a way to use up leftover meat, it is now a firm favourite in British households. Chicken tikka masala is a contender for the UK's national dish, synonymous with British Indian cuisine and Britain's multicultural heritage. Widely believed to have been invented in the 1970s by a Bangladeshi chef in Glasgow, Scotland, it features a tomato cream sauce added to grilled chicken tikka. Scotch eggs, a classic British snack. A Scotch egg consists of hard or soft-boiled eggs encased in sausage meat, coated in breadcrumbs and deep-fried or baked until crispy. It is said that it was created by Fortnum and Mason in London in 1738 as a convenient treat for travellers and has since become a popular picnic food. Mince pies. Mince pies, often enjoyed during the Christmas season, are sweet filled pastries filled with dried fruits such as raisins, candied peel, apples, brown sugar and spices such as cinnamon and nutmeg, and brandy or rum. Despite their name, they don't typically contain meat. Afternoon tea. Afternoon tea is a British institution consisting of a selection of finger sandwiches, scones served with clotted cream and jam, and an assortment of pastries and cakes. The meal is accompanied by a pot of tea, ideally served in a fine china cup. Afternoon tea became fashionable in the 19th century among nobility and remains a well-established afternoon pastime today. Modern trends. Modern trends in English gastronomy have seen a resurgence in traditional dishes with a contemporary chefs across the UK are reinventing classic recipes using locally sourced ingredients and innovative cooking techniques, offering everything from gourmet pub fare to fine dining experiences. Alcoholic drinks. Gin and tonic, considered the official national drink of England. Gin and tonic is a refreshing cocktail made with gin and tonic water, typically garnished with a slice of lime or lemon. Its origins trace back to British officers in colonial India who used it to make Pims, a popular gin-based fruit-flavoured drink, especially during the summer months. It is typically served with lemonade and garnished with fruits like oranges and strawberries, cucumbers and mint leaves. It is often associated with events like Wimbledon. Vodka martini, made from vodka and vermouth, garnished with an olive or lemon slice. This cocktail is an iconic part of the British culture popularised by James Bond. Real ale, a traditional English beer that comes in many varieties. Real ales are often sampled at pubs and real ale festivals. Ciders, made from fermented apple juice. Cider is a popular drink in England, especially in the southwest. So England offers diverse experiences for tourists, but costs vary significantly depending on travel style, location, and activities. Average daily cost: your typical tourist spends £183 per day covering accommodation, meals, transportation, and sightseeing. Budget travellers, £70 per day, hostels, public transport, free attractions. Mid-range travellers, £183 per day, including hotels, dining out, paid tours. Luxury travel, £499 per day, including high-end hotels, fine dining, private tours. For a 7-day trip, couples should budget around £2,562, including flights and activities. Key expenses: accommodation. Budget hotels or budget hostels cost between £34 to £47 per night. Mid-range 3 to 4-star hotels average £92 to £125 per night. A luxury 5-star hotels or boutique stays extend to £159 per night. Transport. Public transport. Daily spending averages £25 with the London Underground day pass costing £15.20. Intercity trains. A London to York ticket costs between £50 to £70. Taxis, short rides start at £10 to £15. Food and drink. Budget street food or pub meals cost on average between £8 to £15. Mid-range restaurant meals average £20 to £40 per person. Fine dining tasting menus exceed £80. Afternoon tea is £30 to £60 per person at premium venues. Activities and sightseeing, major attractions. Stonehenge tickets range between £21 to £31 per person. Tower of London, £33 per person. Harry Potter Studio Tour, £65 to £90 per person. Guided tours, full day trips, e.g. to Windsor Castle, Stonehenge, cost £136 to £200 per person. Cost saving tips. Overseas, visitor pass for 56 to between from 56 to £120. Access 100 plus historical sites over 9 to 16 days. Combo tours, but multi-attraction packages, e.g. Stonehenge and Bath and Windsor Castle for 10 to 20 for a 10 to 20% savings. Off-peak travel, visit between November and March for lower hotel rates and fewer costs. Three attractions, explore 3 museums: British Museum, National Gallery and Parks, Hyde Park, Hampstead Heath, London. 20 regional variations. The city of London, the capital of England, ranges between 20 and 30% pricier than other regions, especially for accommodation and dining. Rural areas such as the Cotswolds, Lake District, mid-range options dominate with fewer budget choices. By planning strategically and prioritising must-see attractions, tourists can balance costs while enjoying England's rich cultural and historical offerings. Travelling to England involves several considerations to ensure a smooth trip. Entry requirements: passport, visa, other nationalities. So you have by air. You can travel to England by various ways. So by air, flying is the easiest and fastest way to reach Britain from outside Europe. London Heathrow is the largest airport with excellent connections to central London. Other major airports include Gatwick, Stansted and London City Airport. By train, the Channel Tunnel provides train routes to the continent via Europe for passengers and less shuffle for vehicles. Eurostar connects Paris, Brussels, Amsterdam and Rotterdam directly with London. By car, shuffle car trains connect Calais with Folkestone in just 35 minutes. Ferry services also link various UK ports with Northern and Southern Europe. Coach services offer regular routes across the English Channel from the European continent to London and other major UK cities. England has made significant strides in creating an inclusive society through comprehensive accessibility across right, so you won't need to know that. You won't need to know that. Won't go into the flag. England, a land where ancient stones whisper tales of forgotten eras and bustling cities, home with modern virtuality, offers a tapestry of attractions as diverse as its history, from mist-shrouded moors to grand cathedrals, from cobbled medieval lanes to neon-lit streets. Right, so England's landscape is right. So let's. Nearby, over the Bristol offers a quiet communion with the past. Here sheep graze among mud, and the white wind carries echoes of Bronze Age chants. Further north, Hadrian Wall snakes across wild Northumbrian hills, a Roman relic marking the edge of empire while the soldiers once grazed northward into the unknown. England's medieval heritage pulses in its castles and cathedrals. The Tower of London, a fortress palace prison on the Thames, guards the crown jewels and the ghost of Anne Boleyn and the princes in the tower. Its raven legends says must never leave, lest the kingdom fall. In Canterbury, cathedral Gothic arches soar towards heaven, illuminated by stained glass depicting pilgrimages, immortalised by Chaucer. The scent of incense lingers, mingling with the murmur of prayers. Meanwhile, York Minster's rose window bathes the nave in kaleidoscopic light, while the shambles across medieval streets invites wonders to step into a Dickensian dream. Um, England's literal heritage begins in the flickering firelight of Anglo-Saxon mead halls, where anomalous birds restricted by Beowulf recited Beowulf epic verses. The poems Jingle and Golden Hogs echoed the Norse sagas, yet its meditation and Geoffrey Chaucer, the father of English literature, democratised storytelling with the Canterbury Tales. Written in Middle English, his pilgrimage frames a Birdie Miller, the worldly wife of Bath, each tale a mirror to medieval society, vices and virtues. Chaucer's boldness laid groundwork for Shakespeare, who would later declare the plays the thing. The Romantic era, late 18th to the 19th century, saw authors like William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge elevate nature and imagination. Wordsworth's daffodils fluttering and dancing in the breeze became emblems of transcendent beauty, while Coleridge's opium-fueled sunny pleasure games with caves of ice. Their contemporary Jane Austen wielded irony like dispensing Regent's era marriage markers in Pride and Prejudice, where Elizabeth Bennet's wit cut through social pretension. The Bronte sisters, Charlotte, Emily, and Anne, channeled Yorkshire's windswept moors into Gothic masterpieces. Emily's Wuthering Heights, published in 1847, is a tempest of passion and revenge. Its anti-hero Heathcliff, whose wild is untamable, is the landscape itself. Meanwhile, Charles Dickens exposed Victorian London's underbelly from workhouse horrors, Oliver Twist to the redemption of Christmas Carol, where Ebenezer Scrooge's transformation became a parable of empathy. Right, so right, feedback. Charles Dickens, between 1812 and 1870, belonging to financial instability, channeled his childhood struggles into novels that critique Victorian society and justice. Working in a blacking office at 12 after his father's imprisonment for Dickinson developed empathy for the marginalised, a theme central to his work. Major works in social commentary. Dickens' centralised novels such as Oliver Twist and Great Expectations exposed the brutality of child labour, poverty and institutional corruption. Oliver Twist's play, Please Sir, I Want Some More, became a rallying cry against workhouse cruelty. In a, Dickinson's vivid prose and characters from the miserly Scrooge to the tragic Miss Havisham painted a pragmatic view of Victorian life. His, his novels, often centralised in magazines, reached a broad audience, blending suspense and humour. Right. Closely tied to music, folk dances celebrated community and season. Morris dancing, with its origins in the 15th century, captivated villages with rhythmic stepping bells and waving handkerchiefs. Dancers, often clad in white with floral garments, perform rituals believed to breast crops or ward off evil. Meanwhile, English country dances formalised in the 17th century inspired Jane Austen's ballroom scenes, their intricate patterns symbolising social order and courtship. The Renaissance and Baroque eras evaluating England's musical prestige. Henry Percival of 1659 to 1695, the Opéras Britanniques blended French elegance with English in operas like Dido and Aeneas, where Dido's lemma remains a principle of Baroque emotion. Centuries later, Edward Elgar from 1857 to 1934 captured imperial pride and pastoral beauty in pomp and circumstances, marches and the energetic enigma variations. Gustav Holst, 1874 to 1934, turned celestial inspiration into the Planet Suite, while Benjamin Britten, 1913 to 1976, redefined operas with Peter Graham's A Haunting Exploration of Isolation. These composers wove England's landscapes inside into symphonic form, bridging folk roots and high art. Afternoon tea. So, the clink of fine china, the golden glow of a steaming teapot, the delicate aroma of freshly baked scones. Afternoon tea is a ritual that anticypher's English elegance. More than a mere meal, it's a cultural institution weaving together history, social customs, and culinary artistry. From its aristocratic origins to its modern renovations, afternoon tea remains a cherished pause in the day, a moment where time slows and indulgence takes precedence. The birth of a tradition, a Duchess craving. The story of afternoon tea begins in the early 1840s with Anna Anna Maria Russell, Duchess of Bedford. In an era where only two main meals were customary, a hearty breakfast and a late dinner, the Duchess found herself plagued by a sickening feeling in the mid-afternoon. To starve off hunger, she requested a tray of tea, bread, butter and cakes to her private chambers. The simple act of self-care soon evolved into a fashionable social event. By the 1850s, the Duchess began inviting friends to join her for tea, served with dainty sandwiches and pastries. The practice quickly spread through high society, becoming a hallmark of Victorian gentry. Etiquette manuals of the time concluded the ritual, emphasising refreshment in everything from teacup postures, never loop your fingers through the handle, to the order of adding milk. Pour tea first to test its strength. The anatomy of tea. A traditional afternoon tea is a symphony of flavours and textures served on tiered stands. Savoury tea, finger sandwiches, cucumber, smoked salmon, eggs and cress and ham with mustard crust, with the crust removed. Savoury bites, mini quiches or sausage rolls used in regional variations. Scone tea, freshly baked scones split and slathered with clotted cream and strawberry cream. The cream tea debate, whether to spread cream first, Cornish style, or jam first, Devonian, remains a playful rivalry. Sweet tea, Victoria sponge cake named for the tea-loving queen, eclairs, macaroons and petit fours, each a miniature work of art. Accompanying this spread is a pot of black tea, often Earl Grey, malted, robust, served with milk or lemon. High tea versus afternoon tea. Contrary to a popular confusion, high tea and afternoon tea reflects England's class divide. Afternoon tea, low tea, was an upper-class leisure activity served on low parlour tables. High tea, a working-class tradition, was a hearty post-work meal served at high tables, featuring meats, pies and breads alongside tea. Tea rooms in temples of traditions. The ritual found its stage in grand hotels and great tea rooms. The Ritz in London since 1906. Its palm court has hosted tea service in marble pillars and harp music. Betty's Tea Room in Yorkshire, a 1920s gem where patrons queue for fat rascal scones and views of the Gales. The Woolsey, London, a former car showroom turned Art Deco tea heaven. Even garden parties at Buckingham Palace uphold the tradition, with guests sipping from Royal Collection china. Modern twist on tradition. While the core elements endure, afternoon tea has adapted to contemporary taste. Theme teas. The Mad Hatter's Tea Party at the Sanderson offers whimsical drink me portions, while Charlie and the Chocolate Factory teas feature golden chocolate eggs. Vegan and gluten-free establishments like Fortnum and Mason craft plant-based sandwiches and dairy-free scones. Champagne tea, a splash of bubbly elevates the experience for celebration. Afternoon tea charm has transcended England's shores, inspiring adaptations worldwide. In Japan, British-style tea rooms in Tokyo pair matcha scones with satcha. New York's The Plaza Hotel serves alleyways tea for children, complete with pink cupcakes. Even astronauts absorbed the International Space Station have enjoyed Friends dried spice tea. Afternoon tea enjoys because it is more than subsistence. It is an act of mindfulness, a celebration of craftsmanship, and a bridge between past and present. Whether enjoying a sunlit conservatory, a bustling hotel, or a humble kitchen, it invites us to savour life's small pleasures. As the steam curls from a porcelain cup and the first spice of scone melts on the tongue, one cannot help but agree with Henry James. There are few hours in life more agreeable than the hour dedicated to the ceremony known as afternoon tea. A fond farewell to England where past and present collide. Right. Minute. One minute, 1 minute. A fond farewell to England where past and present embrace. As our journey through England draws to a close, we are left with a mosaic of memories of misty moons and bustling markets, of ancient stones and whispered sonnets, of clinking teacups and roaring stadiums. England, a land where history hums in every cobblestone and innovation pulses in every modern marvel, is not merely a destination but a living story. What book? To bid it farewell is to acknowledge its timeless duality, a nation rooted in tradition, yet it's in its living. Our tour began where England's story lives itself began Stonehenge. Its weathered stones standing sentimental under vast skies. Here we pondered the mission. Right. Uh, Here, every cobblestone is a collision of epochs. Roman legions marched silently beneath the neon glare of Shog Street Art. The ghost of Churchill's cigar lingers in the air as a Ukrainian refugee serves coffee in a Manchester cafe. Brexit billboards rot in the same fields where Chaucer's pilgrims once wandered. England does not recoil its past, it wears its scars like crown jewels, daring the world to look closer. Right. So I'm going to start again. England is not a country, it is a living contradiction, a forge where empires were hammered into being and emperors crumbled to dust, where the same hands that pan solids of love shackle continents in chains. Its soil is stained with the blood of kings and revolutionaries. Its skies choked with the smoke of industry and the ashes of war. Yet from this crucible of paradox rises a nation that refuses to be defined only felt in the thrum of a London Bay busker's guitar, the crackle of a village bonfire, the hushed resonance of a cathedral eve song. Here, every cobblestone is a collision of epochs. Roman legions marched silently beneath the neon glare of Shoreditch's street art. The ghost of Churchill's cigar lingers in the air as a Ukrainian refugee serves coffee in a Manchester cafe. Brexit billboards rot in the same fields where Chaucer's pilgrims once wandered. England does not recoil its past, it wears its scars like crown jewels, daring the world to look closer. What is England's lesson? Perhaps this: greatness and guilt are twin flames. A nation that birthed democracy also perfected oppression. A people who crafted rule Britannian now hum God Save the Queen, the King to Punjabi beats. Its genius lies not in purity but in the audacity to endure, to let the contradictions clash, spark, and ignite anew. So let the cliffs of Dover crumble, let the towers ravens flee, yet the tea go cold. England's truest monument is its relentlessness, messy, magnificent, becoming. It is not a story of triumph or repentance, but of a flame that refuses to die, lighting the way for any nation brave enough to stare unflinching into its own mirror. What will your reflections show? And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, now concludes today's lesson at the Butterfly Princess Academy. Thank you for joining me today at the Academy where curiosity takes flight and wisdom wears wings. And I very much hope that you can join me again for more lessons in the very near future. But until then, take care. Bye bye for now, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.